And away we go. It's just me at the moment. Eric might join. Not sure about Risk. He could join, given recent episodes. But hey, who knows? Now, before I start the episode, there's something I have to address, just so that it is made clear and everyone's aware. And no matter what happens, everything's going to be okay. As of this recording, a couple of days ago, well, first, give you some kind of context. There's a Discord server for an upcoming social media platform. And no, I'm not talking about the project that me, Eric, and Shadowminer are working on. This is a different project called, well, basically, I don't want to give the name, I don't want to give it too much away, but there, the name of the app is named after either a planet in the solar system or the name of a Greek god, or something close to that. But that's the hints I'll give you. So I had an idea for a certain way of running things. Remember, it's just an idea. And I don't want to justify anything, because when I was trying to answer questions from a particular loot user, which is why I'm mentioning this, he makes very good points. I wasn't fully committed to the idea, and I wasn't expecting people or the developers of the app to even take that idea on board. I just want to see what people would think. And one individual in particular, they have made very valid points. I'll give them that. However, personally, this is getting too deep now. For some reason it's been bothering me. Like, I'll tell you right now. This is the first time I have been asked questions about anything I do. The reason that bothers me is how he was communicating with me, giving his ideas on the suggestion. It's like, oh my gosh, it's really, why am I getting agitated by this? And I've been through that before, and I was like, okay, whatever. But this moment in time, I was actually frustrated. But that's all I have to say. I don't understand how my mind works. I don't understand how I am making a fuss of a situation which I have been through many, many times. And many times in the past, it's actually been much worse. Not just socially, but physically as well. Thankfully, I haven't been through that part of life for a very long time, and I don't think that'll happen ever. But I think all I've the reason I'm mentioning this is something to take away from that experience, in my opinion. No matter how bad life gets, just remember, it could have been worse. And life will get better. And I also have said that as of this recording, it is summer of 2025. I am getting myself ready for the next chapter of my life and my career. You know, the global stage, I've talked with Eric about that. It's very exciting and very, very, very well. I don't know. Well, so anyway, yeah. If at any point in my life you hear stories about me and I'm in hot water for stuff, don't worry about me. And even if things sound really bad on my end, I am not saying that people should defend me if I do anything really bad. I try to be cautious about that. But whatever happens in the world, whether it be bad or good, don't take it at face value. Don't just take it with a pinch of salt. Okay, maybe take it with a pinch of salt. But do ask questions. Do question what you see and what you hear. This is something I would say to a lot of people, because although it's important to understand what's going on in the world, however, just taking information is not enough. And I think when I was whatever suggestion I've made on the Discord server for that new social media platform, that individual who gave his input and feedback and gave out some concerns and points and arguments, that has helped me really think about what I am saying and how I structure myself. Although the idea wasn't fully the suggestion in question wasn't something I was fully into at the time, or to begin with, how that style of communication has really made me thought about something. Although I will forget bits about what has been said and what has been done about the situation, but what I'll never forget is how it made me feel. Emotion sticks out more than the logic and the literacy of individuals, if that makes sense to anyone. So that was a revelation in my life, and I hope to take that away at some point in the future. And I hope listeners and viewers take that away too. And anyone wondering who this individual is, I'm not too hooked up on the project that me, Eric, and Shanamai are working on. But if there is anything popping up at some point in the episode, I think there should be information about who I was talking about. I hope that should be the case. Otherwise, yeah, I want to thank them for giving me that vision and motivation. Now, I was frustrated at first, but over time, thinking about it, thinking about the situation, it really opened my eyes. And honestly, I've never felt so grateful for that experience, even if it was emotionally scarring. But still, I'm still grateful for that experience, and hopefully, I don't want it to be, I don't want it to be scarred in any way. I just want an experience that really opens my eyes, something that really impacts me for the better. But yeah, that's all I have to say. With that being said, and to the best of my ability, let's get right into the news. Arizona governor tours wildfire destruction along Grand Canyon North Rim. Arizona Governor Katie Hobbs toured the destruction left by a wildfire along the Grand Canyon's North Rim, describing the damage as devastating. The wildfire, sparked by a lightning strike on July 4th, has burned over 18 square miles and is 8% contained, as reported by the Fire Information Officer Stefan Lasky. The Dragon Bravo fire has destroyed more than 70 structures, including a visitor's center and the nearly century-old Grand Canyon Lodge. Hobbs plans to meet with leadership in the U.S. Forest Service and the U.S. Department of the Interior to discuss wildfire management this week. Well, I can't say it is not devastating, but I'm not sure how else to describe the situation. Like, the Grand Canyon, it's just more than just a terrain, bunch of rocks. Like, this is it's also more than a tourist attraction. It's an identity. And if it's something that identifies with a state or a community, of course people will take that seriously. And seeing the amount of efforts taken by US Department of Interior and US Forest Services, I think that's the bare minimum. I'm not expecting more, but I expect something like that. I expect those departments would actually get involved to some extent. Fair enough. So, well, I hope there isn't too much damage to the Grand Canyon, because I'm not sure I want to go to the United States someday. And if I do, I'd be cautious about where I start to go, because I haven't heard very pleasant things about certain parts of the US. I mean, there are good parts for sure, but remember, there is variety in what people say about the US depending on whereabouts in the US they live. And they'll tell you different things based on their experience, which is valid. But of course, you're going to get a variety of answers depending on who you ask specifically and whereabouts in the country they would live. So yeah, hopefully there is. I hope there's continued progress of ensuring that something like this doesn't happen again, or the circumstances are way beyond their control. Yeah, something to learn, and hopefully there are measures put in place to minimize the same damages that could happen at some point in the future. Japan sees bright future for ultra-thin, flexible solar panels. Interesting. Pliable perovskite panels are perfect for mountainous Japan, with its storage of flat plots for traditional solar farms.
and a key component of the panels is iodine, something Japan produces more than any other country but Chile. The push faces some obstacles. Perovs- Perovskite panels contain toxic lead and for now produce less power and have shorter lifespans than their silicon counterparts. Still, with a goal of net zero by 2050 and a desire to break China's solar supremacy, perovskite cells are our best card to achieve both decarbonisation and industrial competitiveness. Minister of Industry Yoshimoto said in November. We need to succeed in their implementation in society at all costs, he said. The government is offering generous incentives to get industry on board, including a 157 billion yen, $1 billion, subsidy to plastic maker Sekisui Chemicals for a factory to produce enough perovskite solar panels to generate 100 megawatts by 2027, enough to power 30,000 households. Japan is always innovating, much more than most countries. I say most because, well, I'm not giving praise to other nations, but of course, it's not surprising that Japan is always coming up with something that's certainly out of the ordinary, more than out of the ordinary, but also outside of the box. Classic Japan doing their thing, and I like that. But of course, ultra-thin, flexible solar panels, fair enough, it is likely to be breakable, but it's something. If it's adaptable to all surface types that are not particularly flat, and it does produce enough power that is necessary for whatever purpose it intends to provide, then fair enough. Not always, but again, it's something. A win is a win. And surely in the next few years there'll be more progress regarding flexible solar panels. So, one step at a time. It's something. I'll give it that. Transgender woman sues Princeton for humiliating removal from track meet. Sadie Schreiner, a transgender woman, filed a lawsuit against Princeton University for removing her from a track meet in violation of New Jersey's law against discrimination. The lawsuit alleges that Princeton athletic director John Mack and director of track operations Kimberly Keenan Kirkpatrick were involved in the decision to remove Schreiner from the competition based on her transgender identity. Schreiner is seeking damages and injunctive relief under New Jersey's anti-discrimination statute for the humiliating, dehumanizing, and dignity-stripping ordeal she experienced. I'm not saying I'd agree with the decision, but I know there may be particular factors to why they made that decision to begin with. Like, I have seen news reports about transgender athletes competing in women's sports and seeing how well they have done, but then only for sports organizations say we are preventing transgender athletes competing in women's sports, and that's what I've heard. I've heard that I heard transgender athletes are banned from competing in women's sports. I haven't heard anything about them being banned from competing in men's sports. So that's just a unique perspective that I just found interesting, in my opinion. But of course, everyone's gonna have their own arguments about how to take the situation. I'd say go ahead with this. I say go ahead with the lawsuit, or what did they call it? Oh yeah, uh, yeah, go ahead with the lawsuit. I do like to see how that. I want to see how that will go. But of course, I know there will be people saying. I think most likely, if people are going to mention why transgender athletes can't compete in either men's or women's sport, well, mostly women's sport, something has to do about a particular body chemical that's exclusive to men or women. Like,
estrogen for women, testosterone for men. How much of one of those chemicals does that person have? And if you don't have enough of that particular chemical, you can't compete in that side of sports. Like, if you don't have enough estrogen in your body, you can't compete in women's sport. Likewise, you can't compete in men's sport if you don't have enough testosterone. That is an argument a lot of people are going to make with why transgender individuals cannot compete in sport. Again, not to say I agree with it, but I understand. I also see those are the kinds of arguments people will bring up. And you know what? Besides making the argument about allowing people to compete regardless of what identity is, whatever identity people are, what is anyone is going to do about that? Otherwise, let's see how the lawsuit goes. If it's something, well, if it's a win, it's a win. If not, then that's unfortunate. But of course, yeah, there's so many factors that comes into play for that, and they will be brought up in that lawsuit. And I think banning transgender athletes in particular sport is something that they will continue to stand on for sure. Pro-Palestinian protest prompts scuffle on stage at Royal Opera House in London. On Saturday night, a cast member unfurled a Palestinian flag at the Royal Opera House in London during the curtain call. Against the backdrop of Gaza conflict tensions, the closing night of the 11-night Il Trovatore saw a spontaneous demonstration directed by Adele Thomas. Video footage shows a brief scuffle as an official attempted to remove the flag while the performer resisted holding it through the curtain call. Royal Ballet and Opera said the protest was completely inappropriate for the curtain call, and a spokesperson added that the display was unauthorized action by the artist. It comes as a large number of performers show support for people of Palestine amid the Gaza war, and Palestinian flags have become a common symbol at such protests. I've said this many times, and I will say it again. If people want to express their opinions about what goes on in Gaza, they want to support the Palestinians, they can do that. I have no problem about speaking out on serious, sensitive issues. However, and I know a lot of people may not agree with this, whilst everyone has a right, and they are entitled to speak out on serious issues in major events, in particular events like a theatrical performance, a speech by a notable person, or any public event, there will be a line drawn about how you showcase your message about particular issues. I'm not advising against it. All I'm saying is, as a warning, if people do go ahead with protesting on serious issues in front of public events, then of course people that are organizing the events, they will say you can't use the event as a place, as a site of protest. Again, I'm not going to say you can't speak out. Continue to speak out to the best of your ability. But doing it at a public event, I think there has to be a smarter way in protesting. I think it's not enough to say free Palestine. It's not enough to show the Palestinian flag. It's also not enough to show placards showing impactful, powerful messages. I think there has to be in my opinion, there has to be some kind of symbolism, like maybe wear earrings with the Palestinian flag, maybe a necklace with the Palestinian flag. It's just examples. Maybe, what examples can I think of? I mean, there's so many. I could go on, but maybe people who want to protest about, I'm not saying they would, but if they want to speak out on anything religious, they can wear a necklace with the symbol of their religion. That's another example. If you're going to present a message at a public event, you can't just say phrases, you can't use placards with messages or show flags of oppressed nations. Maybe present it as a piece of clothing. Because once they step on stage wearing that, all the authorities can do is just remove you as you're wearing what you are protesting. That's just my suggestion. If you want to speak out about an important issue, don't just say the issue, or shout the issue, or show the issue. Wear it. I mean, I've seen a few people wearing protests. I don't know why that's not seen often. I think if people want to continue protesting, I'm all for it. But I want to see people wearing what they are protesting for or against. I think that's a very clever piece of innovation in protesting. I would love to see. It does not matter what the issue is. I just want to see it happen and see what impact it will do, and see if anyone can apply that for their own messages for the greater good. I know people will have their perspective on what is greater good and what isn't, but I'd love to see that if there are protesters that can think outside of the box, they go ahead with what they think outside of the box for, and doesn't make as much of an impact as other traditional methods of protesting. That I like to see. Katy Perry nearly falls into audience near mid-air prop malfunction. Katy Perry experienced a malfunction with a giant butterfly prop during her performance in San Francisco. The malfunction occurred while Perry performed her song Raw at the Chase Center, causing a sudden drop. Perry managed to regain her balance and continued performing after the incident. She humorously acknowledged the mishap on her Instagram story by sharing a screenshot of her expression during the fall. Well, at least she's having a laugh about it. It's better than making a fuss about it or crying about it. Not to say you can't do that, but come on, who wants to see people complaining about a tiny little mishap? I've been through that, but personally, I think it could have been worse what I've been through. But yeah, at least she's laughing off about it, which I respect. Although I can't say for. Actually, I'm not getting into that. I was going to say something about you going into Blue Origin and space and stuff, but yeah, I think I've said more than enough about space in a couple episodes in the past. But hey, I'd like to see that happen. Hopefully, the tour goes well, and well, there's not much I can say. I mean, I like listening to Katy Perry's music, but it's been a while since I've been in the loop regarding whatever is going on with her. Saturday, his granddaughter announced that Jake Larson, the World War II veteran and TikTok star, passed away peacefully at 102. Cracking jokes until the end, Michaela Larson said. Jake Larson, born December 20th, 1922, in Hope, Minnesota, lied about his age to join the National Guard in 1938 at 15 to gain over 1 million followers on TikTok. During a June 2024 CNN interview in Normandy, France, Larson remembered the invasion like it was yesterday, he told CNN. Following his social media success, Christiane Amanpour won an Emmy over 3 weeks ago and shared the honor with Jake Larson. In his absence, Papa Jake Larson leaves a legacy of a free world and calls on the public to continue honoring veterans like him. And I agree with that. Rest in peace, Larson. Yeah. Honestly, I'm speechless. Not just the effort it takes to get into the National Guard, but of course, anyone during the World Wars. Even if Risk would argue that it was all theatrical, staged, or it was some kind of phase in the world events. People in world wars have died from that. No matter how theatrical world events had been back then, and even now, people still lost lives, and that should not be taken away. We can't take away the fact that people have lost lives fighting for their country. But I will say this again. Rest in peace, Jake Larson. I send my condolences to the friends and family of Jake Larson. What is Baby Grok? Elon Musk announces kids-friendly AI app after controversy over sexualized AI avatar. Oh my gosh. Why? Just why? No. Okay. On July 20th, 2025, Elon Musk announced that XAI is creating Baby Grok, signaling a kid-friendly AI app aimed at safety and educational use. In response to backlash, XAI is developing Baby Grok, a kid-friendly app following criticism over Grok AI's controversial outputs and Annie's sensual design as a safety measure. On iOS, Super Grok subscribers can access interactive 3D animated AI companions like Annie and Mad Rudy, which have sparked debate over their adult theme design and messaging. Uncertainty surrounds whether these changes will restore user trust or stop inflammatory content from surfacing, as details remain scarce and no launch timeline is set. Looking ahead, Musk positions XAI to release a specialized coding model and version 7 with improved multimedia capabilities in July 2025. Like, how bad does it have to be for an AI to the point you have to make a kids-friendly version of that said AI? But anyway, I'm not going to say it shouldn't have happened. It was going to happen anyway. But surely something has to be thought about where situations like that wouldn't have happened to begin with. But yet they happen anyway. It just comes to show you always got to think at least 2 steps ahead. I would advise think 3 steps ahead, if not more. Otherwise, you're going to get serious backlash. Even if it does benefit the app in getting publicity, because any publicity is good publicity, it will not, eventually, it will go against your favor, and you have to address serious issues at some point. Otherwise, I hope people at X learn this lesson, and they do not make those mistakes again. I hope. I'm not to say it will guarantee to happen, but one can hope. Honestly. Moody's on Thursday upgraded Argentina's sovereign debt rating, an improvement based on the agreements signed in April with the International Monetary Fund and the liberalization of exchange controls. Argentina's long-term foreign and local currency issuer ratings were raised to CAA1, CAA3, both ratings within the speculative grade with high risk, while the outlook was changed to stable from positive. The increase reflects our view that the broad relaxation of exchange controls and, to a lesser extent, capital controls, along with a new program with the International Monetary Fund, are supporting the availability of foreign currency liquidity and easing pressure on external finances. This reduces the likelihood of a credit event, the agency said. Well, from what I've heard about Argentina since Milei got elected, and the economic improvement that I've seen, well, now, of course, I know people may not agree with what Milei has done for Argentina. Fair enough, you're entitled to that opinion. However, if there is economical improvement, regardless of what policies or measures were put in place, if they work, then leave it. Just like in coding, if something doesn't look like it makes any sense, but it still functions anyway, just leave it. But of course, just because things are looking good for Argentinian economy does not mean things will improve for the better. I don't want to be too negative about what's going on in Argentina. I'm just saying, like, some things that sound too good to be true may probably is. And there is always a price for good things to happen. But if you have a plan, or at least an alternative, to prevent that issue from happening, then improvements will continue. But you can't just do something, and if an improvement is being shown in data, or at least people see some kind of improvement to some extent, and people would be like, "Yay, we did it! We don't have to do anything else." No, you have to do more. It's not enough. Because what if another lockdown happens? Not saying there will be, debatably. What if another lockdown happens? What if there is trade embargoes or sanctions? What's your plan B? What you gonna do about that? Like, there are circumstances outside of your control, but even if it's outside your control, you still gotta have a plan to ensure that a nation's economy does not go down the toilet. Even if even if things look really good for Argentina, you can't just backpedal or just sit back and relax. If there is more that a nation can do to improve itself, then do it. And then you can just observe the situation and just prepare to make any adjustments if there's any uncertainty beyond people's control to lessen the worsening effects. So otherwise, Argentina, keep winning, man. I hope. Whatever it is you're doing, keep doing it. It looks pretty good from my perspective. Pro Football Hall of Famer and podcast star Shannon Sharpe settles sexual assault and battery lawsuit. Bugger. Shannon Sharpe has settled a lawsuit filed by an anonymous woman accused him of sexual assault, battery, and other charges, as stated by the accuser's attorney. The lawsuit will be dismissed with prejudice, indicating a final resolution without further action. Sharpe's representatives called the lawsuit an attempt to shake down him and denied all allegations. ESPN supported Sharpe's decision to step away, affirming that it is a serious situation. And it is a serious situation. Because if he has actually done it, then lock him up and throw away the key. Okay, maybe not throw away the key, but the point I'm making is, if he's done something horribly wrong, he should be punished that justifies his actions, or at least reflects his actions in the world. But on the other hand, if people have said he has done something horribly wrong, and then there has evidence coming out that said he hasn't done anything that the accuser said he has done, which sounds very horrible, then you have to question, what was the purpose of the lawsuit to begin with? Was he actually doing something horribly wrong that really affected this woman's life? Or is the woman wanting to get some kind of payment or monetary benefit out of him? Because I don't encourage it, but I understand. Because if Shannon has made so much money from his career, and even right now, then I understand. Don't resort to making accusations if there aren't strong evidence. If there is strong evidence, then do what has to be done. Lock him up, store a key in high maximum facilities, and yeah, let's just see how it goes. I know now this story may be developing, however, and I know I try to balance my opinions with this story. This is serious, absolutely. But if there isn't strong evidence that proves it, then I feel like that this is in it for the money, which I can't argue with, but it's still wrong. You shouldn't do it. Otherwise, hopefully, punishment is to be served and it is reflected accurately based on his actions. That's all I will say. Saudi Arabia's sleeping prince dies after 20 years in coma. A Saudi royal known as the Sleeping Prince has passed away after spending 20 years in a coma following a car accident in London in 2005. His father, Prince Khalid, shared a statement expressing profound sadness over the loss, with hearts full of faith in Allah's decree and destiny, and with profound sadness and sorrow, we mourn our beloved son. The prince was treated at King Abdullah's medical city and remained on life support until his death. Funeral prayers are scheduled to be held at Imam Turki bin Abdullah Mosque in Riyadh. Wow, that is very sad. It's very unfortunate to lose someone close to you. And I know people will have their takes on royal families in general. He's still a human being. You may not agree with his way of life, but of course, we're the same species, and we should be treated as such. But of course, his family, they're going to be devastated for sure. So of course, it is very unfortunate for someone to have gone through that experience and to have lost someone after a tragic accident, and to have continued questioning, will he come back alive, or will he awake from his coma, or if that is the last time you will ever see that person alive. It's very sad. Rest in peace. I send condolences to friends and family. Charli XCX, George Daniel tie the knot in London. On Saturday, July 19th, 2025, pop star Charli XCX married the 1975 drummer George Daniel at Hackney Town Hall, with about 20 close friends and family present, according to reports. Following George Daniel's proposal in November 2023, they maintained a 2-year engagement before tying the knot at Hackney Town Hall. According to the Mirror, 20 close friends and family attended, including Ross MacDonald and Adam Hahn, while Matty Healy was absent and the couple took a smoke break. Charli XCX confirmed her marriage via a TikTok trend. Dua Lipa wrote, "Congratulations, lovebirds!" Exclamation marks, exclamation mark, exclamation mark, exclamation mark. And circulating social media footage showed the newlyweds posing with their families. Despite earlier reports of a lavish Sicilian ceremony, Charli XCX and George Daniel's wedding was an intimate London event, with a larger celebration possibly planned later this year. Good for them. Nice to see there's families forming. I'm not saying that they're going to, make love and provide offsprings of their own and have children. But if they want to, then go ahead. But if not, then, fair enough. But at least it's nice to see people tying the knots and relationships are forming and growing stronger than ever. That's brilliant. Women get better at managing anger as they age, study shows. Okay. Certain anger indicators decrease as women get older, according to a study published in the journal Menopause. Researchers say this could mean people gain better emotional regulation skills during midlife. Researchers analyzed health reports from over 500 women aged 35 to 55 who are part of the Seattle Midlife Women's Health Study to get these results. There have been previous efforts to look into how women experience clinical depression and sadness during pre-menopause and early postmenopause, but not anger. This is likely because of the way women are discouraged from expressing anger because of the risk of social rejection, researchers said. While the mental health side of the menopause transition can significantly affect women's personal and professional lives, Dr. Monica Christmas, the Associate Medical Director for the Menopause Society, said they have not always been acknowledged. Educating women about the possibility of mood changes during these vulnerable windows and actively managing symptoms can have a profound effect on overall quality of life and health, Christmas said in a statement. Now that is a very insightful read. You know what? In my opinion, it makes sense. The reason I say this is because, and it's not just women. I think everyone in general, as people get older, although particular cases, people's mental state starts to decline. People, as they get older, gain more experience, and they know exactly how to deal with particular situations, given that they have been there before. And I think with that study, I think it does back it up. Whilst people do fear social rejection, but having the experience going through that, it gives people that experience to deal with that situation if that comes about again. Not to say people should ever go through that. No one should go through that. Having been through that and knowing exactly what is to be done next time it comes about, that's the experience people gain from that. So yeah, that's just my take on it. It's great. It's great to see that there is. It's great to see such studies are showing that a lot of women, actually all women, become better at managing emotions as they get older. Even if people online saying that women overreacting, why are they saying this? What's the big fuss? I'm not saying they shouldn't, but of course, I was going to get ahead with something. Well, listen, all I have to say is, over time, people will gain experience. People will find peace over time in life, having gone through that experience and know exactly how to handle it. No matter how young people are, they will find their way eventually. And I think that will continue with a lot of people. Facial recognition app gives ICE access to 2 million images. ICE agents have access to an app known as Mobile Fortify that lets them identify individuals using facial recognition. The Mobile Fortify app has access to 200 images held in multiple government databases. Mobile Fortify also lets ICE agents access biometric databases by holding their phone's camera up to an individual's finger. The app will enhance the ability of ICE agents to obtain information even when individuals they confront exercise their right to remain silent. Dave Maas, Director of Investigations at the Electronic Frontier Foundation, told 404 Media. When an officer says, "Paper please," you could choose to say nothing and face the consequences. With face recognition, your options are diminished, Maas said. Wow, that is mental. If that's how technology is going these days, imagine what happens in the next 5 years, let alone the next decade or two. Technology is going to continue improving, and if this is how the US is going to deal with immigration, then we must ask ourselves, because there's so many immigrants in the US. How different will the US be in the next few years if the amount of immigration of people that have immigrated to the US then be returned back to the countries they're originally from? How much change would the US have at the rate of immigrants that are leaving the United States, whether they want to or if they're being told they should by ICE agents? Because, well, a lot of people that migrate to foreign countries, they want a better life for themselves, and they'll do anything to stay there, even work extremely hard, or even, dare I say, work smarter within the industry or sector. And a lot of immigrants work to a higher level of people that are originally from the very developed nation. Having removed them, how much different would the developed nation be? So, yeah. With this facial recognition technology that ICE is using, I think we're going to see the change in migration to the US a lot quicker than we want to see. Whether people want the immigrants to stay or they want the immigrants to leave, technology, facial recognition, that's going to make a that's going to and we might see that sooner than expected. Visitor eats $6.2 million banana artwork at French museum. What? What? Why? Okay. Okay, let's see what it says. A visitor at a French museum ate a banana worth $6.2 million last week. That must have been an expensive banana. The Pompidou Met Museum reported that
security intervened quickly after the banana was consumed.
I guess it was too late then.
Artist Mauricio Catalan commented that the visitor confused the fruit for the artwork. Justin Sun purchased the banana artwork for $6.2 million and previously ate it on camera.
Okay, so the banana artwork has been purchased and they just ate it.
It's either that person is very rich. No, that person has to be very rich. Like, how does someone have the money to buy a banana that is particularly an artwork and you just eat the banana that people see as art? That's just funny. That's really funny. I guess you can make anything art these days. You just gotta believe in yourself. And that's mostly true. If people believe it is art, then it is art. Okay, I think Risk talked about this in the Discord chat. Rachel Reeves eyes £5 billion Bitcoin sale to help plug black hole. As Rachel Reeves starts sketching out her autumn budget, most of the focus has been on the tax hikes she'll need if she's serious about sticking to the ironclad fiscal rules she'd recommitted to just last week. Economists reckon the wafer-thin 5.9 billion margin she left herself at the spring statement has already been wiped out, and that she's now staring down a black hole of over 20 billion. So it was a relief to read this morning that the Treasury isn't relying solely on tax rises and has discovered a rather large stash of money down the back of the government sofa. According to the Telegraph, the government is developing a system to allow police forces and the National Crime Agency, and that's where it got cut off. However, Risk 11 did say in the Discord chat that whatever Bitcoin was seized to so whatever Bitcoin the United Kingdom government has seized from UK Bitcoin holders, they have basically sold all of that seized Bitcoin as a way to pay off the debt. Now, although I can't argue about paying off the debt, if you have that much money from Bitcoin, and this is just me, I know people have would have other ideas. Why not use the seized Bitcoin to reinvest into particular services? They could have done that. And given the value of Bitcoin that's currently still rising, that would help the UK government massively. Or maybe they could have waited a couple more years and then sell it. Because again, Bitcoin's value is still rising exponentially over time. Although slowly, the value it goes up by is astronomical. They could have, if they waited a few years and then sell it off, imagine how much more money the UK government would have gotten and they could have used to not just pay off the debts, but contribute that funding to other services. I feel that this is a missed opportunity there, in my opinion. Today, what's done is done. And who knows? In the next few years, I think governments around the world will have to implement some kind of regulations regarding crypto, or at least that allows some kind of regulations for crypto exchanges to allow people to use crypto, but there are limits and there are rules on how people use crypto. If governments can do that, people will continue to use crypto. But the thing is, it's the blockchain. With the blockchain, it's just a public record. Or even though people could have private accounts where the blockchain may not pick up, I think a lot of people in power, mainly national governments, they're very concerned about the blockchain. Not just how it could be used by scammers, which I will side with them on for that, but also how much it could reveal about what other governments are using their money for. Yeah, there could be more, but we won't know. We're not going to know. We're not going to know more about that until that time comes. Otherwise, well, I hope that Bitcoin sale was worth it, and
they use it wisely. We'll hope it was worth it, UK government. Hopefully you use it wisely, because that'll be the only time you'll ever get to do that. So yeah, awesome sauce. WNBA All-Stars make statement with warm-up shirts over CBA. While an injury may keep Caitlin Clark from playing in the All-Star game at Gamebridge Fieldhouse, she's still representing the league by being there and appears to have a game plan for sitting in the stands. Speaking to the media ahead of the game, Clark said that in lieu of playing, she'll be doing her part by heckling the referees a bit. She joked that she would decide how much to heckle them once she learned who was there. I think I'm going to heckle the refs a little bit, Clark said. I don't know who's refereeing yet, but I'll determine how much I'm going to heckle them. I mean, obviously, if they're at the All-Star game, usually it's some of the better ones. Maybe I can get a technical or something. Clark has had no shortage of run-ins with the WNBA officials in the month of July alone. Some have even blamed the officiating for the injury that is causing her to miss the All-Star game. Fans certainly appreciated the dig at the officials. She's so damn unserious. OMG, Kate. We love you. Ha 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 ha. One user replied. Of course, another said. I hope she gets the first ever technical in an All-Star game. Clark has also been there to show solidarity with the players in their battle for a new and more lucrative collective bargaining agreement. She showed up on a court for warm-ups wearing a Pay Us What We're Worth t-shirt. Honestly, I feel like that's where we're really fortunate that we have those other deals. And I think that's one of the things we're in the room fighting for, Clark said today. Like Pisa Collier said, we should be paid more, and hopefully that's the case moving forward as the league continues to grow. That's probably the most important thing that we're in the room advocating for. Well, I'll give them credit for speaking out on how much they want to get paid or how much they should be paid. I will say, and a lot of people, and I've heard this argument many, many times, and what people always bring up when discussing equal pay between women and men's sports is the revenue, the ads, the publicity that the game gets. Now, I personally, I want to see women's sports do very well, but how to go ahead with doing that is a different ball game altogether, no pun intended. Like, of course, I absolutely understand that women aren't getting paid at the salary they want to, but the reason why women are being paid at that salary is because of the interest. These women athletes are getting paid not just for their performance, but based off the attention that their sport in general is receiving and giving to the viewers. Now, given the salary percentages they have advocated for, which has been a success, like I'm not sure what the exact figures were, but for example, 12% salaries of 12% of the revenue salaries for the men's sports to be paid to the male footballers, or not just male soccer football players, but men athletes. 12% of sport revenue or salaries that goes to the men athletes. So then, whatever revenue comes from the women's sports, 26% of that has to be salaries that goes to the women athletes. Now, if both those sports make the same amount of ad revenue and gain literally a dead equal amount of interest, based off those percentages, which women athletes have successfully advocated for, the women athletes would be paid a lot more, not just because of the interest, but the percentages. But the reason why women are currently not being paid as much as the men is because, and I want to see more of it, is because of general interest, the revenues from advertising for those sports for women. Again, I want to see women's sports do really well. The thing is, and this is and I don't want to say this is true, but it is true. That's how life works. Money is what makes the world go round. Not to say people should be greedy for it, not saying people should hoard all the money they have, but it is a tool for most things when contributing to society. Money is a tool for getting the resources you need to purchase essential necessities. And if a particular sport isn't generating enough revenue in terms of money, well, there won't be enough. There won't be a big enough salary given to the athletes, regardless of gender. But otherwise, I do hope women's sports do get enough publicity and popularity, and once it does that, maybe someday, the day that men and women athletes be paid equally, maybe that day will come. But for now, the goal is to make women's sports popular. That I will say. And that is it for the episode.